maritime control in this region. It was really Johor that still controlled trade at the turn of that century. Okay, so all this really was going well for the Orang Laut until the tragedy of 1699. And what was this tragedy? It was the end of the Malacca Johor Daulat. It was the assassination of the Sultan. And the Laksmana Bintan, who used to be like the top Laksmana, or at least one of the top Laksmana, was involved in this assassination. Okay, so when he assassinated Sultan Mahmud Shah in 1699, there's this story that the term is called ditimpa daulat, or basically ditimpa is like crushed by the sovereignty of the Sultan. The Sultan basically cursed the Orang Bintan, the Suku Bintan, so my grandma used to tell me, don't ever go to Kota Tinggi. If you go to Kota Tinggi, you're going to vomit blood and you're going to die. Okay, so I've never been to Kota Tinggi, the city itself. I've gone to the waterfall, but I've never set foot on in the city itself, the Kota Tinggi city. Never seen the makam of the Sultan, the mausoleum of the Sultan, because I just think, better be safe than sorry. I just didn't want to test it out because some of my uncles reportedly went there, they felt giddy, they had some kind of infection. So I just didn't want to test it out. Right? So there's this story that still, I still tell my children, for example. So this is part of this ditimpa daulat, or this curse that the Sultan Mahmud Shah had put upon Laksmana Bintan and his clan. But with Laksmana Bintan cursed and being branded a traitor, he would die, by the way. The Sultan would kill him after he was stabbed, and the Sultan like counter stabbed him. So the Laksmana died as well. But more importantly for the Orang Laut, they became seen as traitors, especially the Orang Bintan. But with the death of the Laksmana Bintan, it also meant all the tribes of the Orang Laut never really have that one powerful Laksmana again, one powerful admiral to kind of unite them again. All right, so there's this famous Malay movie that was made about the death of Sultan Mahmud Shah, Mangkat di Julang. It's a very common phrase not common phrase, but a known phrase in Malay history, Mangkat di Julang, because he was the story goes that he was being carried to Friday prayers on the shoulders of his slaves, and then that's where the Laksmana Bintan stabbed him, and then he cursed the Laksmana. So all these were stories from my grandma, and that kick-started my inquiry. Okay, so yeah, so this, if you wanted to, it's on YouTube, right? And Maria Manado, if you know, was one of the actresses in the past. Very, very attractive lady in the past. Dang Anom, the story of Dang Anom also very, very interesting. Laksmana's wife, very beautiful. The Sultan, let's just say the Sultan was the crackpot. He's like this crazy Sultan that, or at least when I heard the story, he deserved to die. So the Laksmana had always been, at least from my perspective, is a heroic figure who had ended this tyrannical Sultan. Because he was just like, for example, he killed Dang Anom while Dang Anom was pregnant with the Laksmana's wife. Okay, so then comes this fragmentation of the Orang Laut in the 18th century. Really like this powerful center. No one Laksmana can kind of unite them all. So the Suku Bintan of course, their followers were said to derhaka, which is high treason. Yeah. Never ever regain their previous prominence. So you have the old Johor kingdom now divided between Johor, Riau, and then Lingga. And then at the same time, you had people from Siak, from Jambi, even in the immediate vicinity of Singapore, vying for power. And when that happens, the Orang Laut will just kind of doing raids on each other, trying to be the most powerful sea lord in that sense. Okay, to make things worse, of course, the Dutch were around, and then you start to have the arrival of the British. So really, this is where it all kind of like it becomes a real Game of Thrones situation where there's a lot of factions vying for power, trying to dominate the maritime trade and the sea lanes, trying to make sure the safety of their vessels. The other big group that comes about at this time were the Bugis, who were displaced by the Dutch because of the war in their home island. So you have another big group trying to vie for power. Okay, so for example, by 1756, the Bugis themselves were trying to retake Dutch Malacca, which of course they failed. But you have a sense of this period of chaos. That's 30, 40 years before the arrival of uh, British Raffles in Singapore. Um, the other big thing, of course, by 1811, the Sultan Mahmud of Riau dies. He has two sons, and